Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming to share Dad's memorial with you. Hope you are entertained with some good stories and some great anecdotes. And we will begin the service shortly.
I'd like to begin the service with the reading of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Well, things I remember most about my dad, he was frugal, tough, and he got things done. And we had a ritual every Sunday night where I would assist him in polishing his shoes for the next business trip. And when we were done, he'd say, "Jeff, when I'm away, you're the man of the house." And I took that literally, because one July evening, my parents left me alone with my brother and sister and went to a party. And I'm sure it was just down the street, but one of them were crying, and so being the man of the house that I was, being July, I put on a winter coat and my galoshes and was found knocking on doors in the neighborhood looking for mom and dad. That was the last time they ever left without a paid babysitter. Then we moved down to Atlanta, and Dad, one of his greatest honors, he was a high school all-star in Milwaukee. He got to play in the outfield with Hank Aaron. So he was a Braves fan and a Hank Aaron fan for life. Well, there's always a great debate. Who was better, Hank Aaron or Willie Mays? Well, we go to our first Braves game, me and my dad. Hank Aaron gets up and hits one off the top of the wall. He said, "I told you Hank Aaron was better." And he was right. Then one time, he was also a high school tennis player when she lettered, and we just moved into the neighborhood in Tucker, and brand new tennis courts and neighborhood tennis. And we go there, and the door is padlock lock. We're like, what's going on? So Dad's idea, let's just climb over the fence. He was pretty agile back then. So we climb over the fence, and very shortly thereafter, we realized why the courts were locked. They'd just been resurfaced, and our footprints were all over the courts. But Dad being Dad, that wasn't the end of it. He said, wipe your shoes off, we're going to the local high school and hit some tennis balls. And we did. Then things got a little bit crazier. I got my first car from my dad, a '67 Mustang. And although I listened to my dad, he didn't always listen to me. And I drove home and I said, "Dad, there's something wrong with the brakes." He goes, "Give me the keys." Comes back 15 minutes later and said, "You're right, Jeff. I just rear-ended somebody." So he goes, "We got to take it into the shop." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds good." Little did I know he was going to take a rope and tie it from his bumper to that car, and he dragged me down the road to the shop with no brakes. I white-knuckled it the whole way, and I think that's when I got my first gray hair. Then a little bit thereafter, he decides to buy a motorcycle. Mom was not happy. Well, his argument was, listen, it's just going to be for Jeff and me to go to the tennis courts and back, and no big deal. Well, I'm driving home one time, and I get pulled over by the police and said, "Show me your license." I did not have a motorcycle license, and neither did my dad. No big deal. So that Friday, Dad comes home, and we have to go to the DMV, which is about 30 minutes away on I-285. So Dad drives the motorcycle, I'm driving a car. He gets his license, passes the test. I get my license, pass the test. He says, "Give me the car keys." So I drive the motorcycle home on I-285 for the first time ever going more than 25 miles an hour. The first sign I see is motorcycles use caution, slippery. It was white knuckle all the way, but we got it done. As usual, we got it done. It was scary. Another good story, Dad was an Arnold Palmer fan. You're either an Arnold Palmer fan or a Jack Nicklaus fan, and his dad called him Nicholas. He liked Arnold Palmer. Well, in 2004, I was gifted 2 Masters tickets for Arnold Palmer's 50th year at Augusta. We had a great time of the day. He was 67 years old then, but he insisted on following Arnold Palmer through that entire 18th hole. We watched every shot, along with thousands of others. And when we got to the green, the ovation was tremendous. It gave me chills. And that was the first time I ever saw my dad cry in public. It was a great time. And then it comes to 2022, and Dad is elected into his high school Hall of Fame. And Jeff, would you please escort me up there? I said, sure, let's go. Well, Dad had not flown since 9/11 and wasn't quite aware about the TSA. So we go there, take off our shoes, belt, and Dad was known to carry a large amount of money in his wallet. When they took that wallet, he got out of that wheelchair and said, "No, you don't." I thought that was the end of the trip right there, but somehow we made it through TSA and got to the Hall of Fame and had a great time, saw all the old stomping grounds in Milwaukee. And during the Hall of Fame ceremony, they list everybody's achievements, and he insisted on showing them I got the highest GPA of any athlete. He was more proud of that than his accomplishments in sports. And then at the very end, the MC said, I want to tell you a story about Russ. I hadn't heard the story. Well, apparently Russ had severely injured his left shoulder in his last high school football game, severely. But wrestling season was coming up, and he wanted to wrestle. And apparently he was in a very big match coming up, and he's like, hey, I've got an idea. Instead of taping up my bad arm, I want you to tape up my good arm so that the opposing wrestler would attack his good arm by mistake, and he ended up winning that match. It was an incredible story. And I've never said this publicly, and I've only whispered it privately. So I'll say it now. Dad, I love you.
I'm the serious one of the group, so I don't have too many funny stories, but wanted again thank you for coming, and I wanted to be sure to acknowledge Julie and Bob Gordon. They were instrumental in taking care of our father when he fell and he broke his shoulder. They took him to doctor's appointments and fixed his TVs and his computer whenever he had technical issues, and they were just amazing, and they supported our family, and we want to make sure that we let them know how much we appreciate them. They were not able to attend. They're attending their granddaughter's graduation. So I wanted to make sure to acknowledge them. My father was an amazing man. He was a devoted husband, a loving father. He worked hard and tirelessly to provide for his family. No matter what it took, he did it and he got it done, as my brother said. He was diligent and dedicated, and he loved his family, but at times, Tim, he could be demanding, Dot, a little stubborn. He was a frustrating, difficult man to deal with at times. You might say he was a diamond in the rough. He accomplished many things in life. You've already heard about his athletic achievements, but he was also a very important employee, successful with various companies, and one in particular, Finley Adhesives. He traveled 5 days a week for many, many years. So my mother raised us, but her saying was, you just wait till your father gets home. He was so established and connected with the industry that he held several patents, and he helped the industry to grow. When he was not traveling and working and raising our family, our parents dedicated many hours to volunteer work. They were awarded the first annual award for community service in Ohio, and it became known as the Award for Community Service in honor of the Russell Anderson family. Then in 1970, when we moved to Tucker, Georgia, our parents continued their volunteer efforts with the U.S. Freestyle Wrestling Federation and helped to grow the program from 300 kids to 4,000 kids. I remember going to those tournaments and doing something with Chick-fil-A, but I always got stuck in the concession stands, but that's okay. When our dad was nearing his retirement and our parents moved to Dawsonville, they helped to establish, along with Doc Mills, the Dawson County Humane Society, and volunteered most every Saturday to help with over 10,000 animal adoptions. They established, again, with the help of Doc Mills, and donated to the Anderson Fund that helped finance this no-kill shelter to feed and shelter many stray animals and assisted in getting these animals spayed, neutered, and adopted. As our mother passed away, our father moved into independent living, and he was adamant about living out his final years the way he wanted to. Like his mother, he was somewhat of a card shark, and he enjoyed honing his Texas Hold'em skills. And he actually was very good at it, and he held a pretty high standing in a lot of his Texas Hold'em tournaments. And then there was the casino. He enjoyed gambling at the casino. Carmen and Dot, and I think Tim took him there several times. And one time my husband and I took him, and we're walking around because we don't gamble. And we go and we check on my dad, and he's only been there 30 minutes. And he won a royal flush at one of the slot machines. So I said, okay, Dad, great, congratulations, the lunch is on you. I learned many things from our dad, but a couple of things that stand out to me in what he taught me is be generous, be respectful, always learn, always grow, always give. He expected nothing less but perfection and the best from himself, and he expected that from his family. He would say, even if it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, as long as you gave it your best shot, that's okay. It's better to be early than late. Don't sleep your life away. Get up, go help your mother, earn your allowance, and then get outside and play. Find adventures, build forts, be fair and good to your friends, but be back by 6 p.m., and you better not be late or you won't get dinner, and you owe me that quarter that you earned for your allowance. He was the best. I loved him dearly, and I miss him terribly. Until I see you again, Dad.
Wow, Marcy, Jeff, that was awesome. Thank you. I'm Rick Anderson, his youngest son. A lot of you know Russ as a friend, a gambling buddy, a volunteer, a business partner, or a neighbor, but I only knew him as Dad. So today I'm going to speak to my dad. Dad, I miss you. Can't tell you how often I catch myself saying, I'll just give him a call. Or let me send him an email today of how the family's doing. And then I realize I can't. Dad, I know you're listening, so hear me out. Not just the beginning, because like Marcy, I'm going to share some of your not so great stuff. Sometimes, and I think the family and friends can attest to it, you expected a lot. You were very set in your ways and your thinking, and it was really hard to change your mind. But putting that aside, what did you mean to me? You are my dad, and I'm so proud to be your son. I know you were proud of me. You were my mentor. You always gave me guidance and advice through my journey. Sometimes I didn't want to hear your advice, but I know your intentions were to impart your wisdom and your experience on me to make me a better me. You were my biggest influencer. You taught me right from wrong. You taught me about being dedicated and giving 100%, because winners are confident and they've invested in the effort and the practice and the training to be the best. You taught me that family matters. I'd never forget our family vacations or visiting relatives. One year we loaded up a van or an RV and we all went to Grandma Ruth's 90th birthday celebration in Wisconsin. Every year at Christmas, while we were unwrapping her presents, you would make a video and send it to all our extended family. I still wonder to this day if anybody's ever watched one of those videos. You taught me to be tough and endure. Wake up early, splash cold water on your face in the morning, put salt in your wounds that helps them heal. Use your body to block ground balls. It won't hurt for long. You were my biggest supporter. As Marcy said and Jeff said, he traveled a lot, but you were always there at my baseball games, my football games, and of course my wrestling matches. You took me to the batting cage whenever I asked. I don't know how many nickels or quarters we spent, but we'd spend hours there every Sunday. You allowed me to attend as many summer sports and wrestling camps as I wanted, probably 5 or 6 a year. Every Sunday, you would drive me down to Georgia Tech for the Atlanta Takedown Club wrestling practice. And lastly, when I got in trouble and did something really stupid, you were there. You helped me out. You made me pay with interest, but you got me through it. What I'm trying to say to you in a nutshell, Dad, is I could not have been gifted a better dad than you. I miss you every day. Thank you for what you did to mold me into who I am today. I'm so grateful that we get to honor and celebrate you. I have one last thing to say, like Jeff, from the bottom of my heart, and some people in the audience know why this is so important. I've got to say it out loud. Dad, I love you.
Thank you all for coming out today to honor the life of a wonderful man and a great grandfather to many of us. I'll be reading the Rainbow Bridge today in honor of all the animal adoptions that Grammy and Grandpa did throughout the years. Just this side of heaven is a place called Rainbow Bridge. When an animal dies that has been especially close to someone here, that pet goes to Rainbow Bridge. There are meadows and hills for all our special friends so they can run and play together. There is plenty of food, water, and sunshine, and our friends are warm and comfortable. All the animals who had been ill and old are restored to health and vigor. Those who are hurt or maimed are made whole and strong again, just as we remember them in our dreams of days and times gone by. The animals are happy and content, except for one small thing. They each miss someone very special to them who had to be left behind. They all run and play together, but the day comes when one suddenly stops and looks into the distance. His bright eyes are intent, his eager body quivers. Suddenly he begins to run from the group, flying over the green grass. His legs carry him faster and faster. You have been spotted, and when you and your special friend finally meet, you cling together in joyous reunion, never to be parted again. The happy kisses rain upon your face, your hands again caress the beloved head, and you look once more into the trusting eyes of your pet, so long gone from your life, but never absent from your heart. And then you cross the Rainbow Bridge together. I'd like to say just one last thing. I think it's great words to live by. The last Christmas card Grandpa wrote me, he ended it by saying, "Keep working hard, life gets better." Thank you.
Soon be free from every trial.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you all for attending. I was a little bit nervous giving the eulogy. However, the catering was my responsibility, and I haven't seen hide nor hair, so I'm a little bit more nervous about that. So hopefully there'll be refreshments in the back room, and we're glad to have everybody come join us. Thanks. Yes, please.
I just wanted to share with the family. I had a dad, a lot like Russ. He told other people how much he loved his family, but could never tell the family. And all my trips up to the casino with Russ, which I'm not going to tell you how frequent that was, but the first 2 hours, which was the trip up, were stories about the grandkids and how proud he was of those grandkids. And he'd go through each one's exploits, what they were doing, and how much he would look forward to different events to get to see the grandkids. And Marcy, Jeff, Rick, he was so proud of you guys. And again, he was a lot like my dad in how much he loved you. And he maybe had difficulty verbalizing it, but I know you felt it as I felt my dad's love. I got my hugging from my mom and my sports from my dad and my competitive spirit. But I cannot tell you the hours he spent talking about you, giving me updates on the medical business, where you guys were at, what you were doing. And I just wanted to get up here and let you know he would talk about you, all of you, endlessly, about how proud he was of each one of you. And I thought it was important that you guys hear that, that he was deaf, and he'd talk about Pat, the exploits. I'm going to say something here. Please take it in the right context. The first time I met Russ, and not the first time, but one of the first adoption events I was at, I thought I was at a George Steinfeld show. Pat and Russ had a way of being very passionate towards one another. They could verbally get into it a little bit, and we would kind of have to say, settle down a little bit, you guys. Settle down. But you talk about a lot of passion. And the last story I have, he loved, if I didn't hear this story once from Russ, I probably heard it 10 times, which was great. His sales meetings at Finley, he took great pride in the creativity. He took great pride in doing things different. And do you know what his number one stunt he pulled?
Riding the steer.
The bull. He brought out, where was this at? I can't remember. Was it Hawaii or Vegas? It was Vegas. I think it was Las Vegas. He brought out on stage. He rode on it. He rode out on stage on a Brahma bull. And to this, I wish there were pictures. There probably are. But can you just see Russ riding out on that bull with all the sales people out there and all the people and just rallying the troops. I mean, he was a motivator, and boy, he loved telling that story. I appreciate the couple of minutes. I just wanted to get up here and share with the family how much he loved each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Can I say something? Yes, please. Anyone else, please feel free.
My name's Brandon Mills, and I'm a veterinarian, Russ and Pat's veterinarian for 25 years. And helped get the Humane Society started, and Russ and Pat were there from the beginning. And if he was like this in the other things that he, and Pat as well, volunteered in, I mean, they didn't just do a little bit. They were always there. And we had the first organizational meetings, and Russ and Pat were there. We got the adoption thing going where my clinic would be full of cats and some dogs before any of the shelter was built. And Russ and Pat would come a couple of times a week to socialize the kittens. Although Russ would sneak off while Pat was doing the kittens, and he'd go out and see the dogs. And I was glad to see some pictures back there that Russ must have had some dogs at some point, because he was okay. He was good with the cats, but he really liked to see the dogs. And then when we started construction on the place, Russ would be out there, I think, unofficial, self-appointed supervisor. I was happy to have the help out there, and he'd always come and tell me some ideas. I don't think that the builder and the architect were as happy to see Russ. and actually I was asked to try to tone him down once or twice. But yeah, but he was always there. I mean, he was always there. And once the place opened up, the two of them would be at the clinic or at the shelter frequently. Russ ended up having a cattery built where you kind of cage in an outside porch thing so the cats could get some fresh air. That whole thing was their idea and their baby. And but yeah, just they were all in. They were all in. And always like to see the two of them coming into the clinic. Russ was a huge Wisconsin fan. And I'm a Boilermaker, a Purdue Boilermaker, so he was always razzing me, because usually Wisconsin was beating up on Purdue. But anyway, just some fond memories, and just they were a huge help with the shelter.